Kia ora everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have another of my complete collection tour, which is where I go through all the books in my collection as well as every page I've ever coloured and any work in progress pages I may have as well. So today we are doing, I call this the Fantasy Peoples collection. So it's lots of like fae and mythology, lots of dragons. Yeah, just kind of that sort of collection. It makes sense in my brain. Yeah, we've got a few different artists to go through. We've got Christine Caron, Selina Fenech. We've got some Anne Stokes, Yana Prosperina, and then I do have a couple of these art maker books as well that we will go through together. So we'll start with the big ones, and we'll start with Anne Stokes. And this one is gorgeous. I got this after I got the Colouring Heaven Elements book, which is her work. And I much prefer her actual book just because the images are bigger and you can see a lot more of the detail in it. It's really stunning. And I've just done the one in here, like the majority of my collection, because I had such a focus in 2024 in working all my books. A lot of my books just have one page coloured in it. So I'm looking forward to having more done in more of my books. But at least the majority of my collection has been shown some love. And I have this gorgeous Ice Fae here. She is, I love her. I did her during the Christmas season, so I was imagining her more like a Christmas Fae, but she's also very icy. You know, I feel like blue and silver is like a good Christmassy palette, but also just a really pretty palette. So I used Distress ink on the background with a silver Posca pen. And in these are actual little glitter flakes that I had that I individually placed all over very, very carefully. So much careful placement of all the little glitters, but oh, I love it. Including all over her headdress. That took a lot of careful placement, but love how that came together. And then for her, I used Prismacolor to colour her in. And then on her wings and her dress is Deco Art Enchanted Shimmer. These a little bit of stickles for the gems as well. So she's super shiny, super reflective and glittery. And I just love how she turned out. So that is my page in the Anne Stokes colouring book. The next three books that I have are all by Artmaker. Now these three books are AI art, just to put out there. These are the, I want to say these are the only AI books I have in my collection. However, I suspect I have a couple more. I generally try to avoid AI art just because there's so many gorgeous illustrators out there who create by hand. So I would rather send my money their way. But that being said, if you are somebody who has AI art and has a lot of it in their collection, that's fine. The beautiful thing about colouring is there is so much out there to colour in so many different types. Like, buy the books that you are inspired to colour in, because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in just colour, because it is about the process of colouring. It's not even about the final page. It is about the process of colouring, and that is why some of my pages I will spend hours on. Some of my pages it's just slapped together, and they're just as valid because it's about that process of creation. So whatever gets you creating, that's what I want you to have in your collection, because that's what makes you get creative. And again, the process of colouring is where it is most important, because that's where you get your mental health benefits. That's where you're taking time for yourself. That's when you're doing your self-care, your well-being check-ins, and just spending time for yourself doing a hobby that is glorious. So whatever book you have in your collection that works for you, that is the perfect book for you. There is no right and wrong books, and I don't want anyone to feel like me going, oh, these are AI art, is me saying don't buy AI art. It's personal choice for me, but doesn't mean that I'm going to begrudge you if you have AI art in your collection. I just like to make clear that these are AI art before I show them, just because I know there's a lot of people who do try to avoid AI art. Anyway, after all that, we will go into these. So yeah, I brought these. I saw this one first and was like, oh my gosh, Faye, gorgeous, gorgeous. Flipped to the back, saw these 3 images, and then brought all 3 of them on the shelf. Didn't even look at the book, didn't even care. I was just like, yes, done. And then when I got home, I saw that it does have in the back here, illustrations created by Hinkler Studio using Midjourney. So yeah, it's like, oh darn, AI art. However, they are gorgeous. I can't return them. So I was like, I have them in my collection. I do like them. So we're going to colour in them. And so we have. It does have like little things that are quite difficult to colour. Like in here, the flowers were so undefined and so messy. And some of the hair goes a bit wild. So yeah, it's definitely AI art, and you can see it when you color in certain things. You're like, what the heck is going on here? But I still love how it turns out. So, makes me happy, and that's the main thing. So this one, I used Distress inks in the background, which I activated with some water, and then alcohol markers to base everything, and polychromos pencils to shade, some Mod Podge Extreme Glitter or Mod Podge Sparkle. They are practically identical. So anytime I say Mod Podge Extreme Glitter, I could also be meaning Mod Podge Sparkle. They're practically the same. But I put those all over the flowers because, again, some of those flowers were so messily, badly defined. A lot of them I just coloured by like dotting in colour and trying to make the most sense of what I could for what was there. And then there's a little bit of gold metallic gel pen as well. And yeah, I do really like her. Originally, I was going to keep her all greens and naturals and make her quite foresty Faye and do her hair green. But on the day, I just really wanted to colour in the teal hair. So I coloured in teal hair. I like teal hair. So that is the Faye Fantasy. Then I have the Queen of Dragons, and I have this page here. This is another one where things were a bit wild because her hair turns into branches, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? And so I decided that the story in my head is she is actually a forest nymph and of the forest, and has fallen in love with this human girl who has come into the forest, and together they are merging 2 worlds. So that is why I wanted to create her with lots of earthy tones, like she's of the earth, of the forest, and then a complete opposite with this one. So she was very light. I was trying to go for more light pastel tones because I thought that would be a really good contrast, and the pinks and the blues and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my story in my head. So the entire thing has been based with alcohol markers. I believe I used Pablo pencils, maybe some polychromos pencils as well. There is, again, Distress ink in the background, and then tons of gold shimmer spray, Kaiser Craft shimmer spray, because when you're kind of looking through a forest and the light rays are hitting and you just get the light reflecting on all the little floaties in the sky, and that's kind of what I was imagining with this. So yeah, I love how these 2 look together. They're both so pretty. So that is Queen of Dragons. And then we have Dragon Riders. And I have this one here, which I might need to hit the microphone with the book. Yeah, that's going to be what it's going to be. It looks so splotchy on camera, but it doesn't look so splotchy in real life. Okay, so you'll have to trust me that this looks a little bit more solid in real life. It's because it is quite textured, because there's so many layers back here. So there's a lot of like the lights coming this way and picking up on all the different levels of the texture of the page. You might be able to hear it. Saturated this one. So I used alcohol markers to base, and then in the background I did several layers of the background because I couldn't quite get it to the levels that I wanted while still keeping colour there. Apologies, we have a builder here today. That freaked me out a lot. Yeah, so in the end I used some black acrylic ink over the top, and there was also a little bit of glitter in my brush, so every once in a while there's a little glitter reflect in it, but I kind of dig it because it kind of just looks like the night sky. But yeah, in the end I just used black ink over the whole background, which is why the paper is a little like buckly, because it was absolutely saturated, but I wanted that really dark background to contrast with her. Because I really wanted it to be all about her finding this golden glowing egg. I think I could probably, again, it's looking so splotchy on camera, but in real life, like if I do it like this, you can see it's a little bit more darker, not so splotchy. There is a little bit of texture because of all the rocks and stuff, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get that solid black that it actually looks like in real life, unfortunately. And that's needed to show the real lighting effects of her, because I spent so long doing all this armor with the green glow of the egg, and I really wanted it to be about her finding this egg. So yeah, so she has been based with alcohol markers, and then there is Posca and Pablo pencils to do all the shading and highlights, especially on the egg. There's also a gold metallic gel pen in there. And yeah, here you go. You can kind of see a little bit more there. Still looks really splotchy. I just think I know I had an absolute nightmare trying to photograph this one. It was awful. So those are the free art maker books. And then I have Fantasy Dolls Volume 1 by Yana Prosperina. This is the grayscale book. This is one that I just found on impulse. I believe it is technically an Amazon printed book, but I didn't get it off Amazon. Got it off a local distributor. I'd never heard of Yana Prosperina. I'd never heard of this, but I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll grab it. It was super cheap, and yeah, it's very, very sweet. I think I would prefer her actual line book rather than her grayscale book, because the grayscale is so light. However, it could be really fun to come in here with like some Inktense or something, or just working really lightly, which isn't my forte. I usually work very dark and bold and vivid, but we can change mediums. So I have done the one in here, and I might need to put some baking paper in here. So I've done this one here. So this one, I think I used alcohol markers to base. I did. Alcohol markers to base, and then polychromos on top to do all the shading. There is a bunch of Kaisercraft shimmer spray, and I also used glossy accents on this page. And I started with the bubbles, but I actually had it drying slightly on an angle because I did not realize with glossy accents. So I'm glad I did, because I learned then about how it will move as it's drying, and it's gotta stay flat. So there is like this bubble here, and this bubble up here has like a drip on it. So I came in and added a second lot to her eyes and her lips, which did dry flat this time, and added the Kaisercraft shimmer spray on top so that it would just sort of add to that messy, splotchy, bubbly background. The shimmer spray on top of the glossy accents gets a bit sticky though, so I think I need to come in here and add a baking sheet to it. But yeah, I really do like this one. It was fun. It was just like, let's just go for it, let's just try things. And yeah, it was really fun. Sometimes it's good to just have fun and throw things at a page. So that is Fantasy Dolls Volume 1 colouring book by Yana Prosperina. And then I have Selina Fenech. Now, I have 4 books. I used to have 5. I used to have both the grayscale and the line art version of Mermaids. Something about the line art version of this book was such a nightmare. Like, I don't even know how to describe how that paper was. But this year 2024, I decided to unhaul it because, again, I had another copy. I had it in grayscale, and I was like, I don't want to struggle with this paper. It's not even that it was Amazon paper, because you'll see I can work Amazon paper, but yeah, there was just something about that particular book where the paper was just wrong. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, you can also see I've also covered all my books in clear book covering because I hate the soft touch covers. So, real thing for me. So, we'll start with the Mermaids Grayscale Edition by Selina Fenech. And I've done a couple in here. I have done the Pearl Princess here. So this one is alcohol markers, a bit of Posca to do highlighting, especially on the gold, stickles for on the Merm's tail and all the bubbles. And yeah, I think I pulled out no, I didn't even pull out a pencil. I just let the grayscale be the shading. Yeah, I don't think there's even any pencil work on there. But it is such a dark grayscale that you can just get away with it. It's so quick. And then I know I think I did another one in here. Actually, no, it'll be in Fairy Art that I did the other one. That's the only one I've done in there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Mermaid and getting in here a bit more and doing some more. And then I have the Fairy Art Grayscale colouring. All of these Selina Fenech books I brought secondhand off local sellers. So I don't know which Amazon they were printed at, or, well, I don't think the back always says. Like, this one's USA. So, but I have this Winter Fae page here. I love this one. Kind of want to turn it into a bookmark because it is so cute. So this one uses alcohol markers, a blue and silver metallic gel pen, and then lots and lots of stickles on the wings. Really simple once again. I don't think I even did much shading. I just went in with the alcohol markers and just, again, it's such extreme shading that I just let the markers do the job. And that's the only one I've done in there as well. Okay. Grayscale colouring Fairy Art. And I have Fairy Magic. So this one is a line book, not a grayscale book. And I have this one here. And so this one uses Prismacolor pencils. I did use some alcohol markers to base the hair. I think I even used some polychromos pencils in there too. There is stickles for this gold glitter border, matte acrylic paint. I know that this more darker gold that is used on this border as well as on her is actually the Prismacolor gold colored pencil. There is some sort of iridescent medium on the wings as well as the little fae. There's like some Posca marker. This one's a lot of different stuff at the page. Yeah, I really like it. Really like this teal and blue and brown and gold combo. I feel like it's a really neat palette. I think that might be, yep, the only one in here. Again, a lot of my books just have one page done because the focus was on working my unworked books. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, as I may have already said, and I've said it in other videos, I'm looking forward to having more in each book now that my focus isn't so much on untouched books because the majority of my bookshelf has been worked. So this one is Goddess and Mythology coloring book. And I know I have one in here that's definitely based with alcohol markers, which is Ceridwen. And I freaking love this one. Now, it is not perfect. I have learnt, I did do the lighting on the face wrong. So I was really trying to create it. So this pot, this cauldron, was what was creating the lighting effects on her, which meant there's a very strong underlight. And when I was coloring, I was trying to like show that on the face, and apologies again. Like I said, we've got a builder here today. The green, I just colored in the bottom half green, and that was actually incorrect. What I should have done, where's a pen, just so I can point to all the fine areas. What I should have done was the bottom chin area. Yes, this is correct. That should be bright green, but then it should recess in and darken in here, and then a bright green for like the cheekbones, with the high points being actually quite bright green. So quite bright around here, and then of course recessing in, and then the highlight that I got on her eyebrow is correct because that comes forward. So it's thinking about what goes forward and what goes back. So the cheeks being the high points are forward and higher than under the cheekbones, which is a little bit more contoured. But doing things like getting the highbrow, the high of the eyebrow, the bottom of the eye, the bottom of the nose should also be brighter green because that would be getting a lot of bright. And then up here should be a lot more dark because it would be being blocked by here. And then this bottom lip at the bottom should have a little bit of green, and this top lip, because our top lip usually overhangs a little bit, so that would be picking up more green. So things like that I've learnt a little bit more of now. At the time, though, I did, like I knew as I was coloring it, I was like, I've done this face wrong. This face is not correct. But I just focused on producing it as best as I could and working on the rest of the body. I'm really pleased with like this green to brown, dark brown shading that I did here. This part, like under here, this feels almost correct. The stomach is correct. This highlight should actually move down more, so it's more of an under boob highlight. I did do the high points there, but it needs to be more underneath as well. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm still like, I get a lot of compliments about my lighting effects, and I know I can do a lot of lighting effects, but there's still so much to learn with lighting. It's such an interesting element to try and color, and I really enjoy pushing myself and trying new lighting and seeing how things work with lighting. Anyway, tangent over. So this one has been based in alcohol markers. I believe I use Pablo colored pencils for this one. Acrylic paint for the black in the background, and this bright green of the shapes around is actually Posca. It is like an apple green Posca, and I use that to also add apple green into the cauldron as well. Freaking love the concept of this, and like this book has 2 copies, so you know I can always go into the second half and find this image again somewhere in here and try it again when I feel a bit more confident that I understand how a strong underlight on a face would work. That is Goddess and Mythology Colouring by Selina Fenech. And then the last one that I have is Wildflower Folk by Christine Karen, and I love this cover. Like, I have said this so many times. I want this just as a print with this incomplete rainbow fae. Like, I just love this cover. It's so good. And I was really excited when I first saw this book that Blue Angel are the publishers, and you could buy it directly from them because they're based in Australia. So it wasn't actually too much for me to get the book, and I keep meaning to go and have a look and maybe purchase some of the other books because they have a few different publications, and again, the shipping to New Zealand is actually acceptable. So yeah, I was so excited when I first saw somebody on YouTube talk about this book and mention that you could buy it from the publishers that were based in Australia, and then be like, oh my god, the book is reasonable, the shipping's reasonable, I can buy it. Anyway, I have only done one in here. I did one for my trying to work the shelf, but I have kind of been putting off the majority of this book. So I've done this one here, this Cup of Warmth page. This is all Inktense, done really softly. I was actually pulling the colors off the pencil and applying it to the page like watercolor. So really soft and pale. I may even go in here one day and add more to this when I when I start tackling this book properly. And the reason why I'm kind of putting it off is because I also have the Colouring Heaven Fledgling Fairies issue by Christine Karen, which is my only other Christine Karen. And that book is so close to being complete. I'm pretty confident I will complete it this year. And so I kind of wanted to finish that one first before I really started on this one, just so I can be like, here's version 1, here's version 2. So I had been avoiding working in Wildflower Folk. I did do that page to like tick it off my shelf of unworked books at least, but yeah, I have a feeling I may go in and actually add more to that page, because at the time I like it. I still like it. Is very sweet, but it just feels very pale and unfinished. Again, I struggle with doing pastel and pale. I want everything to be vibrant and rich and over the top, and I don't know. I'll see how I feel. I mean, when I come to the book, I may look at it and go, nah, done. And not worry about it. I'm also very changeable in my mind. But yeah, that is Wildflower Folk by Christine Karen, and all my sort of fantasy-esque people books. Yeah, weird category. Again, there's probably other books in other collections that would fit into this category as well, but it works as a grouping in my mind. And lots and lots of gorgeous books, lots of books I am looking forward to showing more love to and really getting in there and having more completed pages in them. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this collection tour. I am definitely enjoying filming all these and going through my books and finding out more books I want to show more love to. All the araha to you all. If you need more of my rambles before the next video, well, there is a playlist down below that contains not only every other video of this complete collection tour for 2025, but all the previous year's versions as well, because I've done this in 2023 and 2024. So if you want to go and watch the complete collection tours and have lots of content, check out that playlist down below. In the meantime, take care of yourself, enjoy your colouring, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!